Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and today we're going to be doing the patron replay for the Zoom class. This is a wonderful alien creature, and he's really just designed on how I'm feeling right now. He's a lot of fun, not too difficult. I really had a lot of fun doing him, and I really am enjoying all the support that I'm getting in the Zoom class. I want to say thank you to my Zoom members, and I also want to say thank you to every patron who's coming and watching these and the replays and just being so supportive and incredible. Thank you guys so much. Let's get our paint, let's get our brushes, and come back. We're going to paint this together right now. Let's go. So in today's class, I'm starting with an 8 by 8 surface. I have the colors on my palette: burnt sienna, yellow ochre. This is the lemon yellow Hansa. This is the Cad yellow medium, Quinacridone Magenta, Cad red medium, Mars black, Phthalo blue, Ultramarine blue, Phthalo green. Here I have a little bit of my favorite blending medium, and I'm doing it in the satin so it doesn't have crazy reflections. This brand is the only one that makes this product. Other things have similar names, but they're a totally different product. Golden doesn't pay me any money to constantly recommend it. It's just honestly my favorite product. And sometimes, you know, like one time, because I was friends with them, I got a bottle. So, but only going to show them because it was an emergency. It's a very minor relationship. I also have titanium white here. Should we throw up the first step? I'm going to begin with an oval mop. I really love the oval mops. They make great blending brushes. I like to start by priming it by getting it a little bit wet, and that way it's not so hard to control the water in it. And then I can dip back in the water and come back. And I'm going to start sort of a blended fun background. And I have my two yellows out because I want something really, really bright. And the second yellow is going to give me maybe more of that radioactive green with my phthalo green. We're going to see if we get that. I'm looking for a yellow orange, a little bit of my blending medium on there, and I'm going to just start here doing a nice little yellow orange base here. Then I'm going to rinse out right here, and I'll thoroughly take the color out of the brush. I like to do these 3 slot buckets because they can keep warm, like clean water going for me. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my pink here, and I'm going to add some Cad red to it, and then some titanium white, and a little bit of my glazing medium. I'll start with this up here, and then I will come back and probably do 2 or 3 blends here, getting these colors in the way that I want to, all loosely layered. I wanted my landscape to be super cheerful and colorful. Now I'm blending back into my yellow-orange. The trick to this is that I do couples of layers with the blending, and what that does is that gives me some real depth to my paintings that I like very, very much. Down below, I'm going to come into I'm going to rinse out again very, very thoroughly. Rinsing, rinsing, rinsing. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue, I think, over to my Mars black and kind of make a Payne's gray looking color here at the bottom. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're just starting to think about where our little guy is going to be sitting. I will try to do this the same way I did digitally, but I'm going to tell you right now, drawing on an iPad is so much easier than freehanding in real life. It's almost a different experience because you can zoom in. It's so easy to control your line or change your mind about a line. So I can get myself into some real trouble sometimes when I'm messing around digitally. I'm going to rinse out again, and I think I'm going to bring my yellow down further. So you can see I'm just using the water bucket and my rag here to control everything on my brush. And that's kind of the trick. I have a video about how much water, and it goes into some of these tricks, and I like it quite a lot. Get a little more yellow, yellow. And I'm going to come from the bottom, kind of blend that in. And come up here, just making it very dramatic. And that's like the first layer, so not too terrible, kind of fun. You can paint the sides of a painting if you want to. Um, a lot of people like that. I just like to make sure that there's paint going around the turn because of framing. But if you want to hit the sides and then just hang directly on the wall, that's something people do and is completely normal and typical in art. But it wouldn't matter if you did something that wasn't normal or typical because it's art. And so it's all good. All of it is good. All right, I'm going to dry. And and then when we come back, we're going to do the next step. And then John's going to mute me so you don't have to listen to my hair dryer. Step 2. So I'm going to come here and load up with my glazing liquid and come into my yellow again. Smidge. When I say smidge, I just give like a little bit of red just to warm the yellow. It's already a pretty warm yellow.
Oh, it's echoing again.
And I'm going to paint the center there. We'll stop again at the next step and fix it.
Okay.
So right now, what's happening in our Zoom is that there's an echo and they're hearing an echo, but echo isn't being recorded, so I'm going to get through this next second layer because it's exactly the same as the first, where I'm doing a light orange, and then I'm going to actually, without rinsing my brush, come over here and load up some pink, put some white on here, more glazy medium, and kind of brush out a little bit of a lighter pink. And then as I come over to the other side, I can darken it up. Too dark. Too dark. I like that when that happens. When I've got to go, oh, no. Make adjustment. Find the color. Just a little bit stronger over here, I feel. Go into the yellow. Which, if you have not washed your brush, will become a really vibrant orange. Bring that down just a little bit. I'm going to rinse out, wipe off, and then I'm going to make a very kind of radioactive turquoise with a phthalo blue, phthalo green, and a little bit of my lemon yellow. Let's get some white into it. And a little more lemon yellow. Even more white. I like to think of this as like the really fun glass from the 50s. And I'll take a couple layers of it to really get it pop, but I like to put it up loosely. Just come across here very loosely. And you can kind of see like that looseness of the brush kind of implies plants. The brush stroke is really a kind of a little curve there, and I just let the brush make the plants. Make some plants. All right, now I'm going to rinse out my brush, and we're going to dry this again, and then we're going to break on the recording so John can do more technical work. And also gives everyone a chance to catch up with us. But it will still come together for the recording at the end, and I'm going to dry it. Okay, let's go on to the third step, John. Step 3, I am going to, actually I think I want to hit another little layer here because I feel like this could have a little more dimensionality. I'm going to go back into my turquoise again with my same brush. Too much green. And I'm going to get a little bit here. And a little white. These brushes, because they're bigger, I have to mix with them a little more thoughtfully than normal. I go and get a little more green, and we're going to pop some brighter little turquoise here. You can see I'm just making loose, playful marks. I like to be painterly. And back into my white and green, but I still have the color from over there on the brush, which will create a mid-tone. I like that a lot. I'm going to rinse out. And then I'm going to kind of redo my under background here, which will be maybe a little brown and black this time. Brushing it, curling around this way. That's kind of a nice little moment. I might grab a little red on my brush. Like to create different dimensionalities in that rough ground. The nice fun thing about an alien creature is you can't really get them wrong because they're yours. They belong to you. The little creatures and critters and stuff that we paint in our paintings that we make up from our heads are always exactly as intended. I think I'm going to grab a little blue and black in here too as well. Just kind of mix it up. And let's add some little twigs. I like to do these little curve outlines. I'll show you what I mean. So just for a little twig understanding. Little twig understanding. When I make the twigs, if I do these curves, the curve starts like that. It really helps with your branch work. It's easier to do it this way sometimes than my like winding branches, which are a little more challenging to pull off. I like the little curved ones just for the ease of them. And you can do those too. Make some little grasses, be little bits behind. Maybe a few little twiggleberries over here on Kepler B22. Because I think about Raised by Wolves all the time. I can't believe that show isn't coming back. I was so sucked in. All right. Now I'm going to dry this so that I can do the trunks of the trees because I like to rest my hand on my canvas like deeply. That's like my favorite. And I can only do that if the paint is dry. So we will stop the recording and I will dry this. And John will say hi to everybody when we come back for the next step. Okay, so now I'm going to continue on with my number 6 Raphael round. You could do a bigger round or a smaller round. It's really up to you. I'm going to grab a little bit of my black, burnt sienna, and some ultramarine blue together for these tree trunks. It's the tree trunk color I have decided. And I will draw sort of outside the overall scale of the tree. And then as I come up to about here, I'm going to add a little branch. And I definitely want something coming here. And then just fill all that in. Though, do paint your tree around the corner if you want it to look right. You don't have to paint it all around the side, but you do want to at least paint it around the corner. I'm going to paint all that in. It's just nice to paint in. Yeah, just a little bit of whimsy, I think. I'm going to come over to this far side and paint another sort of generalized tree, which is ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and Mars black. I can even use the glazing medium to improve the flow. I don't have to go to the water bucket as much. And this one is a lot easier. It's just curving with the landscape. Just painting this up the sides, just making sure it goes around the bow. So this is definitely kind of a good representation of how I've been feeling lately. Just like strange and unusual, but colorful and interesting. I think I want to kind of break up that space with the branch there. Sometimes I'll be going along and I'll be like, oh, that space needs a break. Grab a little more black. And that's looking really good. All right. We got some trees in. Now let's dry our canvas and I'll come back and show you what you do next. So I want to do a little more in the background. I'm going to use my scruffy brush, the number 6 Raphael, the Archini brush that I'm going to this weekend figure out how to say correctly. I've made a commitment to myself because that isn't it. I'm going to put a little glazing medium on here because I don't really want to get the brush wet. I want it to stay fairly dry so that I can have really bright color that has good coverage, especially in these greens. So make as bright of a green as I can. And I'm going to dry brush on the tree and on the ground some of this color. Start talking about like the moss and things that could be on the trees. Maybe a little more green gold, which is why I got the cad yellow involved there. So sometimes I'll be going and I'm like, no, I think I want a little more green gold. I'm going to just sort of rinse that out off 2 buckets so it's real clean. I'm going to dry it. And I definitely want to bring some orange into my mix. I'm going to go back into my glazing medium. Let's make a very bright orange. That's going to look terrific with the green. I like playing these colors against each other. And I'll be adding more twigs like after this is all done. This is just me getting some playful, fun landscape. I can take that orange into that quinacridone and grab some white for some very bright pink. The only way I could get a brighter pink is if I went into my neon colors, and I just didn't want us to have to buy neon colors. That isn't fun to buy neon colors, it is. I'm going to actually put some pink over here this time, too. Some little symmetry around the world. Oh, I'm liking that. That's terrific. But, like I have been doing, it's important, especially if there's dry brushing or you're sketching or you're doing something where the paint being wet will fight against you. It's a really good idea to always dry before going on to the next thing. So I am going to dry before going on to the next thing, which is going to be sketching in, I believe. And I believe that's my plan right now. We'll see if that plan holds as I do it on the canvas when we come back. All right, I'm going to use this pencil. This is the Stabilo chalk pencil, and what I'm hoping it's going to do is leave me just enough line to be able to sketch in. And the first thing I want to do is kind of catch the scale of my little critter's head, which needs to be quite significant. And come down to a little bit of a point. Now I'm going to curve a center line right here, and that'll help determine the placement of my eyes on the face. The more the curve, the bigger the eyes are, that's going to be going on. And I'm also going to bring a tiny neck off the curve, arc a little back, a bit of a leg there. And then the body comes and curves in, and that way it can have some negative space between the forward arm and the back leg. Some of the details we have to paint in as we go, like the hands are more technique driven than anything. But I do want to tell myself to end them right here. And I am going to give a tail. Once I have that in, I can come here and I'm going to come across, oh gosh, about here with my T-square. And that will help me make sure that my eyes are on the same line. And then I'm going to come up here for a second one so that they arc up into the same location. What that's going to do is allow me to draw a large eye off the side here. And then I'm going to bring another large eye. And these are set apart fairly well. We don't have to do the width of the eyes because of the nose thing in this particular one. And then a little bit of a happy face, which I will lose once I paint all this in because I'm going to paint a lot of it in with a dark color. But that's how I like to get the sketch in. Again, this is a Stabilo Carb Phthalo pencil 1400, 100, and it's just a nice chalk pencil. You have to have a specialty sharpener for these, which is why I don't always show them on the show because I don't want people to have to run out. Even though I have an art store, I don't want people to have to run out and get a pencil and a sharpener to do a project that they might emotionally relate to. All right, I'm going to put that back in there and my ruler back away. And we're going to call this a step. We don't have to draw anything. When we come back, we're going to paint in the darkest values of our little alien guy. So I'm going to paint in my guy. I'm going to maybe use a slightly bigger brush to do parts of it. And then, oh, I know it'll be half-inch angle. My half-inch angle. I love my half-inch angle. And I'm going to do his body in a base of the two blues and a little black. So both ultramarine and phthalo blue and a little black. So he's going to be quite dark, but there'll be this blue cast to him. And that will cause him to really, really make the orange pop, pop, pop. So we're playing definitely with colors and everything here. I had a little boo-boo. Whenever I get a little boo-boo, I'm going to rinse out. I'm going to rinse out. Ooh, to the third bucket this time. I want my water to be clean, and I'll just erase before it sets. So you can totally erase before something sets. If the underlayment is dry, you're really, really covered. If I lose my eyes in some kind of way, I can always paint them back in, but I'll try to stay as close as I can to my line. Now I come down into the body. And I know that all I'm going to get is the contour, so the hands and arms and legs will actually all show from the next layer of painting. I just have to get the basic body shape in. Now if I need to switch to my round brush for the body because it's narrow, I just do that. When I'm not teaching online, I am in my own studio, often painting with two brushes at the same time. Getting that put on there really nicely. And I know I'll have the little other arm coming down here, but this is just the contour of my little guy. And once that's in, maybe a little tail. I vacillated between the idea of antenna or no antenna. I'm going to get a little more black on my brush, grab my glazing liquid. Just make sure that there's some little twigs here that just make the ground look a little more finished. Alrighty, let's dry everything. When we come back, we will work on the eyes. Okay, so we're going to continue on refining and defining different parts of his body, his eyes, all of that. To do that, I'm going to put my glasses on so I can actually see what I'm doing. I find that always helps. And I'm going to go ahead and get a very dark kind of turquoise. Use my glazing medium to improve the flow. I'm going to come here and come up on the lid and down. And you'll see that the line will get thicker and thinner. And how that happens is I start the line, and as I'm going through the arc, I press a little harder and I release when I come out of it. It's a subtle thing that you can start working on in your art to improve the look or gesture of the things that you're doing. Now I'm going to come over here. Adding that a little bit. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Get a little bit more blue on here. And bring a little line in like that. And bring a little line in like this. A little bit down the body, but we don't want to paint out the dark because the dark is what helps us see what we're doing. Now at the base, I'm going to pull a little finger. You can have 4-finger, you can have 5-finger. The number of fingers that you have is really just up to you. And a little bit of lighter blue kind of coming forward. That's going really, really well. A little bit here. Going to put in something that could be a lip. A little bit darker to do the top lip. Kind of got a little kissy fish lip here. And we'll define that more as we go. And I'm going to put this aside for a second, and very carefully inside, I'm going to sketch a, that's not the right pencil. Sketch! I'm going to sketch a couple key parts. I'm going to come here. And work in the pupil. Then back around the side where the dark is going to go. And then down the side where the dark is going to go. And then I'm going to come here and work in the pupil again. And then down the side. I'll paint that in with black. And I'm just thinning the black so it'll flow off my brush with just a little bit of water. Very carefully on the outside. All right. Let's do the same on the other side. These eyes do have a little bit of the Jasmine Beckwith influence for sure. Just bring this around as well. Okay. We're going to dry everything before we continue on because it would be very hard to work this wet into wet. When we come back, we'll do the next step. I do want to exaggerate some light behind my alien guy. I'm going to take my 1/2 inch angle brush again and come into my orange, my yellow orange, and add just a little more red to it. This is a great area if you had pyrrole red. You could get in with your pyrrole red or one of your extreme oranges. But I'm going to just make sure that there is this sort of haloing. Oh, don't touch the CAD paint. It's a bad example. Not that I don't have any allergies to the paint, so I don't have to worry about it, but it's considered not a good idea to touch your CAD paint. Just generally, though they make it not bioavailable. I just, you never know. Good habits. I'm just adding a little more of my yellow in here. He's looking quite nice. Well, really, they're looking quite nice. Because I feel like this definitely is one of those awesome things I mean, I know we're not all happy with apple snails, but if you just look at them, like, they are a sheer force of nature. It's just all cloning it's just, this snail does not need another snail and to make snails all the way down. So this creature is going to be like that. Freedom. I'm going to make a little bit of green. I'm taking my phthalo green and my lemon yellow. I'm going to start to brush the top of the head here with this brighter color. It's just the beginning. Maybe down the front, but I do want to do it symmetrically. I can bring down a little brush of green. Just some thought of it. Now I can go right into my Phthalo Green and over into my Phthalo Blue and mix up another good bit of turquoise. And that is distinctly turquoise. So this is just where we start to dry brush in and loosely paint in this little cutie pie. This cutie pie is technically like the Self-Love Club outsider art. And that's a term that a lot of people, when they first hear it, when they're out at craft fairs and stuff, and somebody comes by and says this is outsider art, they don't really know how to take. It feels kind of like to a lot of people like an insult. But all it means is that it doesn't utilize traditional art education methods for construction. It's an intuitive work where the artists themselves create the techniques and processes by which the painting is created. So it's actually not an insulting term at all. But I remember when I was in an art league, I started suggesting to our friends that we not just say that to every artist we're coming up to, because if you don't have context for it, it might not be received the way it's intended. Now here at the chin, I'll want this color to be a little darker, so I'll get a little more blue into my mix there. A little more green, deepening the value. Just having below the chin just be a little bit darker. Painting around my mouth a little bit. And come over here and add a little more white into my turquoise color. Think about lightening up around the mouth. Maybe a little bit here too. Rinse out. We're getting to get some real color here. And grab some phthalo blue, a smidge of white. Bring that back in a nice long stroke around to shade the head. Oh, that's looking quite good. Rinse out. Rinsey rinse. Rinsey rinse. And I think this time I'll do some green gold. So I'll take a little bit of my yellow and my phthalo green. That looks very nice. I'm going to rinse out my angle brush and put it aside for a second. Come here and get my black again. And I'm going to increase the depth of that eye and the other eye a little bit. I'm going to take a little bit of my blue and black together. I'm going to come here on my little mouth. And then I'm going to highlight the lower lip a bit. Maybe over into the turquoise. Bit of light color. Come right here. I'm just putting that there. All right, this is looking really good. Now, I want to dry everything because we have just a beautiful architecture to work with now to make these big soulful eyes. And I want to get all that done before I even try to do anything like splatter or any of that kind of thing. So when we come back, I'll show you what's next. So in this step, I am going to be coming in and doing some of my eye work. And that's going to be, I'll start with a little bit of my red and quinacridone and yellow. And this is a lot like a pumpkin. Come here as well. Little orange and cad yellow. Then making little radial circles around. Rinse out. And I'm going to get a little yellow out here. It's not perfectly yellow. It's got a little of the other color in it. Just brushing it back in. It's easy to put black in. It's easy to put certain colors back in, but it's hard to get these brights, and so that's why I fight for them here. And rinse that out for a second. And letting the eyes have a little rest and a dry, I will go ahead and grab my round bristle brush. So this is the number 6 Raphael round, and I'm going to get a little bit of my green. I'm going to half tint it with orange. And then pick up more orange, but I haven't rinsed my brush. A little bit up there on the head of it. I'm also going to go back into a little bit of my dark color for the body. Just make sure that I've got good shadows. Let's get some light color. And go above the little lippers. That looks pretty good. Lots of little colors in the body to define things, but the trick here will be like, let's figure out these fingies at the first place, or digits, technology digits. I think this little guy needs a backstory. See, just by creating those highlights, you can start to see what he's made of. Just a little highlight here. Dancy's little fingers over here as well. Digits. Now I want to rinse out. And I'm going to take a little bit of my red and my yellow together. Just a little bit of orange down that body. Go. And that just helps him pop. I'm going to go ahead and get my dark turquoise again for the up lip. The upper lip. So you guys will start seeing the acrylic April lessons closer to mid-March, but you guys will have access to a bunch of them, and you will be naming them as per the usual. I come up here and I'm going to just carefully sort of express a lid. That worked well. You never know when you're doing those. It's, you know, a mixed bag on how well it works sometimes. Sometimes I set a line and reset a line and reset a line and reset a line so many times. Let me grab a little bit of this yellow and green here. I'm going to kind of swirl it around. And make some like, this is like sort of skin patterning. Little green gold. A little bit of that there. A little bit on the knee. And a little bit on the arms, just making them more interesting, more fun. I'm going to get some of my orange. You can see that I rinse and I wash out my brush and then I wipe off my brush with a towel. It's a huge amount of my paint control comes from that little action. If it didn't give you guys such a weird shot into my place where I'm sitting, I would have a towel cam. Absolutely would have a towel cam. Okay. So maybe another little highlight on the lip. A little bit there. So now we got a mouth that's really pouty. Okay. This is really good. Let's dry, and we're going to be coming into the finishing touches, and then splatters if we feel so brave. So I'm wanting to kind of come in and focus on the eyes a little bit. And I'll start with my round brush again. And I'm going to deepen what I have. Definitely, definitely, definitely. There's blue and black over here. This is looking really good. I didn't super glad the mouth came out that good. Another thing I do is I don't think about like eventual scale sometimes, which I have to start doing. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of my quinacridone. I put out yellow ochre and didn't use it. That's unexpected to me. I really expected to be in my yellow ochre. I'm going to make a purple. Initially, it's going to start out as a deep purple. There we go. That's it. Sometimes it takes me a minute to find the color I'm looking for. I can deepen it with my ultramarine, getting it into a cooler purple. Add a little bit of purple right up there. That'll be like a bit of a reflection. Now I feel like I can improve my eyes a little bit if I get into a grainer. So this is a filbert grainer. It's seen a pretty rough week. I'm going to load it up with the glazing medium, and I'm going to come over here into my yellow and red. I'm going to just come back in and kind of use this actually to create the detailing in the eyes. Because again, I can set the black again so easily. And I'm going to come from the bottom. Yeah, I like that better in result. So I highly recommend, and I'm getting better at it, using Photoshop and all of its tools. The only thing I'll tell you is that sometimes you will get into a thing and discover that no, you don't have a digital brush that does that. I still use Shutterstock a lot. All right, now I'm going to go into the Ultramarine Blue. Just add a little purple to it. So it's almost a periwinkle. And come over here and make kind of like little striations. Actually, a little higher. And then a reflection for these very, very, very soulful, intelligent eyes. A little bit of reflection on some of that. I think I might put some turquoise back there. There that goes. Soulful, soulful, soulful eyes. Now, I feel like for some of the splatter, I don't want to just trust it's going to go where it's supposed to go. So I'm going to get a little bit of my white and my glazing medium, and I'm going to kind of thin it. And then we're going to just because it's like, I'm going to tell you, like, digital splatter, the way it scatters, you have so much control over it that you can hit like a whole thing, but you can mask out all kinds of stuff. And it's like, but in real life, you've got to mentally do the masking. The light yellow. Playful with that one a little bit more. to hit certain elements. That's pretty good. I have a little more delicate splatter. Take an orange, put it right over the purple and black. A little bit on that side. Now, I'm going to dry this, and I'm going to kind of affix a paper towel a little bit over where I don't want splatter before I splatter. And if you're going to splatter, especially if you're using cadmium colors, you don't want any food or beverage near you. You want to wear glasses because you don't want it to get in your eyes. You just want to use basic studio safety to do that. And splatter is not so important that, you should risk that. So if you're like, I don't want to do any of that, then don't worry about the splatter. But I like the effects of making it seem wild and alien-like. These are strange little dust motes that are going around. So I'm going to dry everything and then do that. All right. I'm going to crumple up a little paper towel and I'm going to place it sort of over my figure for a second. And I'm going to use my round brush and I think my 1-inch oval mop, only because I think that it will be a nice brush to whack against. Yeah, we're going to do some whacking. So I'm going to load up a little bit of my quinacridone and my cad red, smidge of white, gets us a bright pink. I'm going to load it pretty heavily. A little cleaner water, a little wetter this time. Rinse out. Bit of my yellow and into the turquoise, white. It's an interesting green. Loading up fairly heavily to get this. So it's messy. It's messy on the cameras. I think I want something orange. So I'm going to go here, here, here. And we'll do some orange. So this is the more dangerous splatter here. When I make this orange color, and just in that, it's not just going from my palette to my canvas. It's, in the air in some way. It's here, it's there. So just got to think about the safety with that. Oh, that's a little splattery. Get some white thinned. If you have a golden fluid acrylic around, you can use that as well. And then this is the last little touch. I'm going to grab some of my 2 blues. Just kind of creating a little patterning. Make a nice blue color thin. Roll my brush. Load it up. Give something like a signature at the end. There we go. Oh, that is how we paint this painting and drop all of our brushes on the floor. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed sharing this little alien duder with you today, and I really appreciate you guys coming in and supporting us the way that you have. I want you to be really kind to yourself. Until we see each other again, be kind every chance you get. Radical compassion for yourself at every opportunity, especially in your painting. Be good to yourself, be good to each other, and I'll see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.